Welcome to the May session of Empowering Perspectives. I am Laura Sheehan, one of the co-founders of Empowering Perspectives, and in the 3 years that our great organization has been running, we have really tried to focus on staying in person. Now, what happened, of course, during COVID-19 is that we all had to move online, which has turned out to be a blessing in disguise because we've been able to expand our outreach and include a more international community. So each month, we are going to start getting together online. Hopefully someday we'll be able to get back together in person to talk together and to collaborate about how each of us can move forward individually in our professional endeavors. We are focused still on a monthly theme word, and this month our theme word is measure. So this word, just like every other word for our monthly themes, can mean so much. It can, for me, the first thing I think about is measuring my progress. How do I know I'm moving forward? And especially during a time like COVID-19 where every day seems to run together. I feel like I'm doing the same thing day in, day out. Is today Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? I have no idea. So how do we measure whether or not we are making any kind of progress at all? And this can mean so many things to so many different people. And I would love it if you would take a minute to write in the chat box where you're calling in from and your first impressions of the word measure. What does it mean to you? And how are you maybe measuring your progress or feeling as though you are moving forward? So please use the chat box to introduce yourselves and to talk about that word measure. And while we're waiting for other people to join, I'm going to invite you also to set up your Zoom room to maximize the performance and to maximize your experience while we're online. And the way that I like to have it set up is in gallery mode with the chat box up and active so that I can see everything that's going on. Now, some people prefer to have the chat box reduced so that they're not distracted by conversations going on during the presentation. So do what you need to do to make the setup work best for you. And I am so looking forward to anybody writing in on the chat box saying where they're calling in from and what the word measure means to them. Thank you, Hannah, for being the first person to volunteer to jump in here. Hannah is my great friend here in Tokyo, and measure to her means to compare where I came from and where she is going. That is fantastic. Thank you, Hannah. Thanks. All right, anybody else willing to share where they're calling in from and what the word measure means for them? Karen, welcome. Thank you for calling in from Manila. I can see you. And I'm so glad that the hearing, the audio and video worked out for you. And for Karen, measuring implies that she knows what she wants to measure. Excellent point. Got to know what you want to measure before you can even start doing that. So great. And Pueyen, our speaker from today, is also here with me in Tokyo. She is measuring for her is progress in transforming and helping her to accomplish her goals. And Lindsay from Hanoi, thank you for joining us, Lindsay. She is a professional organizer. She helped me immensely when I moved from Hanoi to Tokyo. And measuring for her is being able to access her performance using evaluation and reflection, which is wonderful. She also helped me measure how much stuff I had in my house and whether or not it was actually something I needed to carry with me from place to place. So if you need some advice on that, I bet she could do an online session to let you know, nope, get rid of that one, keep it. And by the way, best tip that I never thought I would really appreciate, all the same hangers in my closet. Wow, that measures organization and a really good looking, welcoming closet. Thank you again, Lindsay. Dorte from Hanoi, thank you for joining us. So measure for her is structured personal development. And Belinda, thank you for joining us today, Belinda. Belinda is one of our community leaders in Hanoi. She has really helped keep things going strong over the last 2 years. We are so grateful to her for being there and for her great leadership. Measure for Belinda is balance, getting balance, which is so important. Thank you, Belinda. Okay, we'll keep those comments coming in. And since it's 3:06, we are going to introduce right now my wonderful friend, Pueyen Lee, who is, hi, Vicki, how are you? Question was, where are you calling in from? And what does the word measure mean to you? Remember, everybody, too, before we get the presentation going, that again, this session is recorded. So if you don't want your image displayed on all of my social media postings and everything else that we're going to blast this amazing message from Pueyen, please turn your video off so that you can protect your personal image. Otherwise, we will assume that it's okay for us to show your beauteous picture on the internet. Rike, great to come in. Thank you so much for calling in from Manila. And measure for Rike is something I did a lot before the lockdown. And you're right, sitting right now in lockdown is a little bit hard to measure anything. Okay, without a further ado, Pueyen Lee is here today. She is get this list, an accountant, a public auditor, a wife, a mother, and a newly certified hypnotherapist. And 2 years ago, Pueyen began her own transformative project called the Me Project. And she is here today. When she told me about this, I had to tell the world about it because I was so intrigued, both by the fact that it was self-initiated, self-led, and so incredibly powerful to get her through several, not just one transformation, but several transformations that really impacted her life and that of her family. So today she is here to tell us about this project and how we might do this on our own. Yes, it's true. We could each have our own Me project. So Pueyen, welcome.
Thank you, Laura. Just to check if everyone can hear me. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Laura, for such a warm introduction. And thank you, everyone from Manila, from Hanoi, Tokyo. Today, I am thrilled and honored and grateful to be with you today. Just as Laura said, and before I try to move on, I do want to make sure I share my screen and that everyone can see. So one more confirmation to check with everyone. Okay, without ado, I assume you all can see my slides. So let me resume. I am one of you, a child to my parents, a parent myself to 2 young children, a professional, and more importantly, I'm a girl who dreams. The key reason we got connected today through Laura is because we share many commonalities. Of the many, we are connected right now to inspire and empower each other to dream more, do more, become more. Today, I am very excited to be in the spotlight to inspire and empower you through this special connection. About 2 years ago, not long after I had my second child, I experienced a series of whispers within me that there is more I can possibly accomplish to lead my children better. These whispers, alongside my strong sense of hopefulness and curiosity, led me onto an interesting and fruitful journey of self-discovery. I took a deep dive into understanding many aspects of myself, covering from mindset to beliefs to habits, approach to love, leadership style, my view and desire on success, and so much more. All these learnings from books, TED Talks, online learning, my recent therapy training have enabled me to uncover an approach to dream more, do more, become more. As soon as I learned something new about me, I would ask myself, do I like this about me? If the answer was yes, I would keep it. If the answer was no, I would learn to let it go and change me for the better. This was how I started my very first Me project and many more thereafter. 2 years into the journey of multiple Me projects, I have successfully let go of the old habits of self-doubt, procrastination, fear of failing, the beliefs that I didn't deserve better. Removing this one by one through initiating specific me projects have freed me from my past that were holding me back. Freeing myself by letting go of these habits and beliefs that I didn't want them any longer has led me to cultivate a greater sense of consciousness, freedom, self confidence, and high self esteem. So far, I have used these positive changes to treat my body better by eating well and also to have routine exercises. I learned public speaking through Toastmasters. I also experiment new parenting and leadership styles, as well as to master my mindset to help many more through my therapy qualification. This journey, I ought to say, was bumpy, as I had to put myself forward with a lot of courage to try, fail, get back up to try again with an unknown of where I would actually end up. Yes, this too can be yours. If you think you only have what you have and nothing more to become a better version of yourself, I feel for you because this was exactly how I felt prior to my very first me project. If you think there is more in you that you want to accomplish, I want to say, I believe in you simply because that's exactly how I am feeling right now, having done some me projects and still working on many others. Whichever position you're in at this moment, stay positive. In the remaining session of my presentation, I will guide you on how to get started. I hope you will like my approach I'm about to share with you, and please share your feedback with me as I'm excited to find out what you think. In a nutshell, my approach to the Me project is essentially preparing me to be ready for the moment that is to come. Of the many role models out there who I look up to, one of my go-to for insights and wisdom is Oprah Winfrey. Coincidentally, Oprah and I share the very same definition of luck. Luck is the preparation meeting the moment of opportunity. There is no luck without you being prepared for the opportunity. Every single thing that is happening or about to happen in your very own me projects is preparing you for the moment that is to come. To prepare you for your moment that is to come, my structured approach to your me project contains 3 phases. First, I call this set your mind up for success. This phase is all about setting up your inner environment so you are ready to accept new suggestions, habits, positive changes. This inner environment is your mind that has the ability to learn. Every thought and word you feed your mind form the blueprint that your mind and body work to make your reality. Second, finesse your fundamental beliefs through building an inner culture that is equipped to make the new suggestions, habits, and changes to stick and to last. These are your underlying beliefs that you apply in everything you do, from how you treat yourself, to parenting, to realizing your dreams. It is important to note that your fundamental beliefs can be learned and unlearned. As your mind learns by repetitions, when you practice and repeat enough times, you have the abilities to program your mind to believe in the beliefs that you need to dream more, do more, become more. Third, pick an area that you want to accomplish. Empower yourself forward to transform and accomplish results. Anything you want. In each of these phases, you will likely to need to take 3 steps, what I refer to as Puyen's approach, based on the learnings from my recent therapy qualification. That is to find, free, flourish. Let me explain each of these in more details. Phase 1, your mind. Your mind is your inner environment which functions as an engine on how you think, see, feel, approach in everything you do. In my personal view, your mind needs to be equipped with 3 components to create an inner environment ready for your me project. First, cultivate your growth mindset. It's the state of mind that you need to be open and ready to receive suggestions and ideas in trying to dream more, do more, become more. When you allow your mind room to learn, grow, and develop, you will be amazed by the new discoveries you will uncover over time about you and those around you. The good news is we are born with growth mindset. For some of us, it is still active, but for others, somehow the switch has been turned off because of our upbringing or specific experiences we encountered in life. All we need to do is go and turn it back on to work at full speed. For me, I practice growth mindset through reading, challenging status quo in the things that I do, connect with the like-minded ones to exchange ideas, and working on my me projects. 2, be present and focus on now. Your mind only works in the present tense, and the most effective approach to lead your life is to think, act, and respond now. When we don't act in the present moment, we are essentially allowing our past or the uncertainties of the future to lead us. The lack of consciousness of the now means that we live with need, dependencies, and control. If you have watched the first Kung Fu Panda movie, I hope you still remember what Master Wu Gui said to Po under the peach tree. He said, "Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. That's why we call it present." Third, be gritty and learn to view success as a journey instead of a destination. This requires you to be passionate and to persevere in both hard and easy times. I had a catch up with one of my subordinates last week. He told me the biggest learning he has from me is the great amount of passion I have in what I do. In his words, he said, "Puyen, you are so passionate in what you do and nothing stops you. When you see rocks, you drive through them. When you see a mountain, you climb right over no matter how hard the situation is. You simply would find a way to get to where you want to." When I heard that, my inner self felt so warm and empowered. I realized I'm making good progress about me through my me projects. This spirit is precisely the reason for me to be here with you today, right now, because my personal calling is to connect with as many of you as possible, to inspire and empower you to dream more, do more, become more. Phase 2 are your fundamental beliefs. These beliefs are big beliefs, and they are the root to every thought and action you make in everything you do in your life. These beliefs represent who you are. What kind of impression will others have on you? How you plan, think, and act on accomplishing your goals. As a therapist, I have been trained specifically to help plant these four beliefs in you. First, you are enough simply because you deserve better and more, and you are capable to become who you truly are. Two, everything you focus on is available to you simply because success is available to you, and you have the ability to realize your own dreams. There's one magical thing about your mind, if you have noticed. That is, whatever you focus on, you get more of. Three, you welcome failure and rejection simply because you give yourself the freedom to embrace the failures and rejections that come your way. You recognize each choice you have made up to now has either given you a great outcome or a great lesson. Both are valuable. In fact, both are necessary for you to succeed. Finally, you, your voice, your stories can inspire and empower others to dream more, do more, become more. You are capable to help and free others to think, do, and dream more positively. When you manage this through your voice, your stories, your service to others, you are living with a purpose that is bigger than you. This is a gift you have in you to offer to the world. As Oprah Winfrey says, you are here to call it the ultimate creator of the universe because you are brought to this universe to become someone who is much bigger than yourself. I won't be in a position to be here right now to share these insights and thoughts with you without my therapy coach, Marissa Peer. She says, belief without talent can take you further than talent without belief. But when you have both, you are unstoppable. I have worked hard to learn about the four beliefs I just shared with you. Though it wasn't until I learned this quote from Marissa to have finally figured out how to bring my approach in me projects to life. That is to multiply the magnitude of your powerful mind with your fundamental beliefs to flourish. And these leads us to the last phase, which is actions driven to get results. From me, from my very own experience, once I set my mind up for success and also reframed my fundamental beliefs, I observed a profound transformation within me. Just like what you are seeing right now on the screen. It felt like attaining superpower like my favorite characters from the Avengers. So far, I have been able to transform and improve many aspects of my life, from how I think now, to how I accomplish success, to my parenting, to my diet and health, and so much more. Prior to my first Me project, I have tried many different approaches on inner self transformation, but I wasn't that successful with the results. The Me project approach is certainly my very first time where the transformations in me are set to last. And more importantly, I have not looked back to want to resume my old habits and beliefs. And let me share a couple of my very own examples with you. my diet. I used to pile up food intake by volume and calories when I felt stressed and pressured. I didn't like it, but somehow I couldn't control myself. Therefore, I started a me project to explore how I can stay healthier, slimmer, and have the ability to just have the same clothing size in my closet. No backup. So far, I have made progress in a number of areas. I successfully let go of my past beliefs that food would fulfill my emotional needs, as in, I would crave sugar and carbs when I felt tired and sad. Now I've adjusted my approach to food as well as the volume, and I opt to exercise more and do self therapy when I'm stressed. I also became more consistent with my eating time, and I learned about the ideal time to eat. Now I have dinner relatively early because I realized if I eat any time after 6 in the evening, I put on weight very easily. So after many tries, I now eat around 5. And I leverage this change to practice intermittent fasting for about 12 to 13 hours daily, which has also improved my energy levels. I also became indifferent to sweets and sugar, something that I've never managed to let go for a long time. So I don't no longer lean into this comfort food when I'm stressed. And this has come to me as a surprise in the current COVID-19 situation. Because instead of leaning into comfort food, given the uncertainties, I have mindfully chosen to eat healthier in order to remain strong and energetic for myself, my family, my work. This, to me, is something I've never seen myself being so decisive and disciplined before. It was like watching a film, seeing my old self on overeating and oversnacking, leaving me. It was amazing. One more example is my work. As an individual, I've always had a lot of passion and energy in everything I do. I am one of those who strives for excellence in whatever I do. For quite some time, I have always thought that the passion and energy were to be used to help me secure more senior positions and better financial strengths in work contexts. Until about 1 year ago, one of my mentors shared his observation about me. He said, Puyen, I see great amount of passion in you and you always have a lot of energy in you. But there is one thing I am less sure about. That is, what do you want and what are you trying to achieve? That to me was a powerful whisper and led me to start this new project to deep dive to find out what do I want to accomplish in my career. In the project, I uncovered so much about the incorrect beliefs I had about work, position, seniority, and leadership. I couldn't wait to let go of all of them, which I did. Again, as I let go, I found my calling in life, and I also found an outlet where I can use my passion and energy to strive for excellence to contribute to make a difference in the world. That is to utilize my strong passion and high levels of energy to inspire and empower others to dream more, do more, and become more. To do this, I opted to specialize in two areas so foundational to all of us that we all have and we treasure dearly. These are our mindset and data. Finding a calling to me is just the beginning because next came in a series of big actions I've got to take to create results that truly serve others with significance that are filled with inspirations and empowerments. I have this belief that your success in life starts from within you. That is your mind. Simply because your mind stores your beliefs. Your beliefs direct every action and reaction you take. Your actions and reactions form the results, and your results shape your culture. And the culture you create is contagious because it is nothing more than a series of learned habits that you lead yourself and others using these habits subconsciously, and they spread to everywhere you go. First, you make your beliefs, then your beliefs make you, and you influence others to do the same. In time, more and more people will be doing the same that you and I are doing in our Me projects. Can you imagine having a better place we all will end up living in when there is more positive energy surrounding all of us to become better, happier, healthier? For this very reason, you deserve more, and success in your Me projects is absolutely available to you. And you begin this by finding out who you are. Who do you want to become in this world? And find out what is holding you back. Once you found more about you, free yourself by giving you the permission to prepare and be ready for the opportunity that is to come. To do this, you will need to set your mind up for success. Let go of existing habits and beliefs that are holding you back, and plant new seeds in your fundamental beliefs. By taking actions to accomplish results through flourish, by being fully equipped when the opportunity lands. You simply focus on giving everything you have got to strive for excellence to make progress. At this stage, nothing stops you because you are fully equipped with the right mindset, powerful self beliefs, high self esteem, high self confidence to keep moving forward to dream more, do more, become more. When you are ready and willing, there are 5 simple steps to help you get started on your Me project. 1. Discover who am I? What do I want? 2. Investigate the beliefs and the state of mind that is holding you back. 3. Understand the reasons of why those beliefs put you in a state of mind to delay your success. Understanding gives you power. Once you understand that those beliefs are actually not helping you to succeed, but rather that they are hurting you, let them go. And you let go by replacing the old beliefs with the new ones. And the replacement begins with changing the words or pictures you tell your mind. Take diet as an example. If you ask, why am I fat? Your response to yourself will be negative, and it focuses your mind to think and believe why you can't become slimmer. Instead, ask yourself, how can I fit into clothes that are one size smaller? Your response from your mind would focus on the positive outcomes and be goal oriented, coming up with the required actions to help you become slimmer so you can wear the smaller sized clothes. 5. Repeat. Repeat the new words and pictures to your mind daily until they stick to last. If you know your mind, you should probably observe that your mind learns by repetition, and so as your body. Everything takes time, and it begins with training the muscles in your mind daily by repeating the new beliefs to yourself every day. Trust me, they are simple. Though note, I didn't say that is easy. I suggest you not to wait, but rather to decide when and where to begin your Me project. Progress is realized when you start taking actions. As quoted by Abraham Lincoln, the best way to predict the future is to create it. I hope you enjoy this as much as I have myself, and please share your Me project stories with me. I look forward to seeing you succeed in your Me project, just like what I have accomplished so far. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Puyen. I'm so glad that we got to share this wonderful presentation with everybody. And as you were talking, I thought it would be important to share a little bit more of the story about how Puyen and I met. So Puyen and I are both mentors for this fantastic program here in Tokyo called the Tomodachi MetLife Women's Leadership Program. And it is designed for women who have been in the workforce for a while. We won't say how long, at least 10 years. And we are matched up with women who are here in Japan, Japanese university students who are getting ready to graduate and go out into the world. And this year was a particularly challenging year for the program because the culmination of the program is for all of the students to go to the United States, to have that first trip abroad for some people, and to meet with people in Washington, D.C. and New York City, to see the big cities, the big life of America, and to work in teams on a project, et cetera, et cetera. Well, because that trip was canceled, Puyen and I got to be a part of a small team that put together a final project for the group of 100 mentors and mentees. And it was all about own your life, design your future. And Puyen got to talk about her Me project in that setting. And as a wrap up for the event, we talked about appreciative inquiry and the 4 steps of that process, which are discover. So look back and as Puyen does in her process, ask, who am I and who do I want to be and how do I get there? So that's this discover part of this 4D appreciative inquiry process. Then there's dream. So expand all of your opportunities, all of your options, think big, go crazy. And this is the thing that really turned my life around, was that somebody asked me when I was in Hawaii, in fact, if you could do anything, what would it be? And at that point, I had my mind blown because I had forgotten that I could do anything. And once you expand your opportunities, once you expand your horizons, then the next stage is to design those steps. What do you have to do to go from where you are to where you want to be? The 4th step is do. You've got to take action, exactly as Puyen is telling us today, that it's great to do all the self-discovery and to think, oh, I wish I could do this, or I wish I could do that. But guess what? You're not going to get anywhere closer unless you actually start taking steps to do that. And what was most shocking to me, probably as an American, about this session with the mentors and mentees was that we did a poll throughout the session. And we said, and they broke out into groups and they had sidebar discussions about which one of the 4 Ds was the easiest for them to do and which one was the hardest. And surprisingly, I think the dream stage, and maybe even the design stage, were the easiest. So thinking about all the options and thinking about how to get from point A to point Z, no problem. Where everybody said they couldn't make a move was in the do phase. They did not want to get out there and do. And this leads me to the great first question that Belinda posed in our chat box, and that is, Puyen, when you're talking about doing more, How does that fit with all of the talk that we hear about how less is more? Go.
Thank you, and thank you, Belinda. I had the exact problem. I think in the very beginning, I told you I had this big, heavy lifted habit of procrastination because I couldn't put myself to doing simple things like waking up, right? Snooze button was my goal each time when the alarm came off. And I thought for a long time of why. Went inside me to look within me. I found a big part of it was a fear of failing and fear of being rejected. So knowing that was good, the next question is, how can I get over it? So I came across this author and speaker. Her name is Mel Robbins from the US, ex-lawyer. And she pointed out that don't think when it comes to doing, just do it. Because the moment you get to start thinking, that is where your subconscious mind will kick in to hold you back from doing. Because especially when you're trying to do something so different from what you are used to, specifically what we're talking about today is transforming, is changing, is something that our mind will try to hold us back because it may think is so different, it can potentially hurt us. So whenever I come across a moment where I'm gonna about to hold myself back or stop acting, I would count backwards from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I just get on to do it. Just like NASA launching. NASA launch, that was the exact example where I found it finally clicked in me.
So then, is it accurate to say that when you're saying do more, it's not necessarily take on more? It is go out and do. Just start getting in there and
Yes.
launching yourself on the right path.
Yes. And I do suggest sometimes when you say do more, people may say, oh, does it mean that I have to do a lot? But it doesn't necessarily mean the volume, but rather is the depth and the focus. So as a career, as an accountant, as an auditor, running projects is in my blood. And that meant multitasking is like second nature. Well, it's important, but what I came to realize in my me projects was multitasking can actually be really harmful on our ability to focus because it's too distracting. And therefore, when you say you do more, what I have discovered through my series of me projects is to really dive deep and be focused on one thing at a time. Because when you are able to focus on one thing at a time, you are centralizing all your mind powers and your ability to really focus in tackling it to see results. And then once you have done that, you move on. But also try to break things up. So if let's say you have one big task, I do remember Laura from one of the interview session you mentioned about if the process to get from where you are to where you want to be involves 1,000 steps. Don't think about that 1,000 steps. Think about the one step that you have to focus on right now, because that is something that you can do and you will do, and all your results will be accumulated towards the 1,000 steps. So it is goes down to your mindset of how you think the do more means and the magnitude of that as well.
Is that also, Puyan, how you approach procrastination? Or is there another technique that you use to help you get past the hurdle of, oh, I don't want to do it?
Yes, I do two things. One is I don't give my mind the time to think when I have to act. So I go in quick. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like just before this session, I took a half day off work and I was like, I'm gonna go for a run. And I'm looking out in Tokyo today. If you're in Tokyo, it's like it's raining, it's drizzling. I was like, no, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. in my gym gear and out, and there I was. And two was I have also learned and came to appreciate the importance to break down tasks into much more manageable tasks. So try to what I do is in the measure of volume of work and also the time required to think and do the work. So now I try to do like a 5-10 minute if it is an article I want to read, or I try to read a book a week, for example. I would say I would chunk it down into something that is manageable, that it doesn't overwhelm me to put it off. So that way is I look forward to doing it. And I also know that the time, my attention span as I do it will enable me to complete it. And therefore, that gives me the confidence to keep on trying. And before you know it, when you look back, you'll be like, wow, I actually have made so much progress and I can do it. And this is sometimes a trap that many of us can get stuck in, and I was one of them, and I am still one of them in many areas where we overwhelm ourselves by setting too high of an expectation. And this is an opportunity to really bring things back into reality by asking yourself, how much can I cope? What is my attention span? What would be ideal for me to go and look forward to go and do that one thing at a time?
Thank you. So we have two other questions that came in. One is one that I was hoping to ask you anyway, which is if you could tell us a little bit of the story about what made you start the Me Project to begin with, because I think that's a fascinating story. And then the other thing that we'd love to touch on is how to really facilitate a growth mindset. So which one would be better to start with?
I can go with the first one first.
Okay, let's do it.
Because that leads on to the growth mindset.
Exactly.
Yes. I would say that the big part of me leading these, the opening or the start of my Me project is since I became a parent myself. I am very close to many of you logistically, and including where my origin, because I am actually I was born and raised in Malaysia. I'm part of the Chinese ethnic, a third generation Chinese from Malaysia, where I was raised in a very traditional, fixed mindset family, that I was born talented, I was born capable. And there was a lot of expectations that I would do well in exam, or I would just win a tournament when I played tennis. And if I didn't, that meant I was not ready for it forever. So failing was a shame to call upon within my family. And also there was the environment to encourage children or myself as I was growing up to try was not a very supportive one. Just cultural background on its own that made a big part. And when I was raising my own children, I came to realize I was actually applying a lot of what I learned in my upbringing on my children, including those I didn't like. I didn't like being discouraged. I didn't like not being given a second chance, but I would do the same to my children where they couldn't read or spell a word, for example. And I thought, hang on, this is not right, because growing up, I always went against many of those beliefs or upbringing approach from my parents and grandparents, and say I don't want to be one of them. And if I had have my own children, I want to learn to teach them and raise them differently. And I realized that when I was subconsciously doing that to my children, I didn't have the knowledge to do things differently. And hence why I started one of the Me projects was to really look into my mindset and my purpose and my approach, and then dive into the self beliefs and habits. And I realized I had a lot of baggage from my past that were really driving and leading my present life and also influencing my children. If I didn't let go of them, I would quite likely be putting my imprints on them, which they would repeat a lot of what I didn't like in their childhood. And so, because I was raised to believe that talent is fixed, capability is also fixed. You're either capable or you're not. You're either talented or you're not. Again, I defied many of those, and hence why I left home when I was 19 to move to England to study. I had actually one very big intention in mind. That was actually to prove my family wrong, that if I am passionate enough and I persevere enough and stay determined, I could make a difference in my life. And out of a family of four from my family, I was the only one who have actually managed to make my way out, to leave my home country, to graduate from a very decent university with a qualification that I have. And my mom looking back is now like, wow, I'm so proud of you. But back then, it was something that none of them believed that I could actually accomplish. And still on growth mindset, I managed to do those, and I managed to make my way through my career, my university, but it wasn't enough, because when it came to my habits of procrastination and self-doubt, I still continue to struggle in bits and pieces in different patches of my life, until I came across this book written by Professor Carol Dweck on mindset. Only did I realize there are actually ways to cultivate the growth mindset. It is not a science per se that you need to take medicine or get treatment, but rather is how we think, and and that is then driven from the words we feed ourselves, feed into our minds, and the images we feed into our mind. As I mentioned just now on diet, if let's say we have the view that, oh, we want to see fat and weight loss as negative, we think negatively, we act negatively and miserably. So when I had children, when I was pregnant, I put on 20 kilos with my children. It was a huge amount of weight to lose in the end. But for me, I stayed positive by thinking and get open to thoughts and ideas and words that would pave me towards my goals, instead of taking me backwards to say, I don't want to be where I am with my weight, but rather I actually say, what am I going to do to get me to back to my pre-pregnancy stage, for example. And the growth mindset, as I explained earlier, to my interpretation, is nothing more than really pushing yourself and giving yourself the courage to accept suggestions, new ideas, and positive words, because we all have this in us, and we are doing it at some point. I mean, every day in some form or another.
Well, and that leads me to one more question. And if anybody else has questions, please enter them in now, because we're getting close to our end time. I have so many questions, of course, but this is the one that I'm gonna choose for now, and that is that you call it the Me Project, Puyen, but you've also told me that you had people that helped you along the way. So who were those people, and how did they help you with your Me Project?
Yes, definitely. We come to this world to connect with others. Wouldn't have been possible to have done so many of my Me projects without the environment around me to make this possible. First and foremost, I really need to thank my husband. My children are relatively young, they are 5 and 2. So when I need to make time for a session like this today, or make time to the gym to stay healthy, I have to ask for support. And I do reach out, and I put myself forward and be very clear on what I want to accomplish and the reasons why, and trust on the people who believe in me to actually help me to make this happen. And one of my career goals earlier, as I mentioned, is about public speaking. I also have to reach out to my manager at work, where the Toastmasters session that I take part in takes place every other Wednesday during lunchtime. During my goal setting, I have to be so forthcoming to him and say, I want this for my career at work and for my personal passion. Can you give me this opportunity and the time available to attend the Toastmasters? Because I was open, I was very clear about the intention and the reason behind, and I was willing to ask. Such support again was made possible to me, and therefore, and I take it. And I take it with great appreciation and I put it into practice, and hence I am now in a much better position and trained to speak to you today.
So important to get the buy-in and support of people around us. And I love that it was your husband, but also your boss. Talking to your
Yes.
boss and letting him know what your goals were and saying, this is what I want to do. Will you support me in this? And he said, yes, because people want to say yes and they want to support you as long as they know what your goals are. And I know for me too, it is hard sometimes to ask for help and to ask for support and to articulate those goals and those dreams. But by doing it, it helps you move forward. Oh, you've got a perfect question coming in right now. So, Puyen, do you help people through hypnotherapy to accomplish the things that you've mentioned?
I do. And I've started to do work on others, but actually, as I was going through the therapy qualification, I did a huge amount of self therapy. And I also do it on my children. So I call it self command therapy. So recently, my 5-year-old son is getting, he can get agitated quite easily on his emotions and start to get a bit physical because he's getting stronger. And I do therapy on him to change his mindset on how to love more with compassion and how to use his physical abilities in a more friendly manner. And certainly for my children, my daughter, I use therapy to put her to sleep, and she sleeps tremendously well. And I've started to reach out to offer to therapy to friends and colleagues who who actually share similar challenges as I have. For example, on self doubt, procrastination, self belief, confidence. And soon I will be branching out to provide similar sessions like today on diet and confidence, because I think if there is I think these are the areas where a lot of people will need a bit more support and understanding of how to empower them and inspire them to think and do differently.
Thank you.
Yes.
And everybody, I'm excited to announce, and I think I did in the reminder email, that Puyen has created for us a downloadable PDF, which I'm going to put in the chat box and also send to you by email, which has the 5 simple steps to get you started on your Me project. And while I'm doing that, Puyen, if you wouldn't mind telling everybody about the other bonus that you have created for us, which is a recording of a cell command therapy session. Could you tell everybody about that while I'm uploading the file for them?
Yes. So your Me project, one of the first things you need to have to really get started is you believe that you can do it. So what I've done is I've put together a recording. This is a cell command therapy recording to enhance your self belief, to inspire you and empower you, to believe in you, to take actions. And our mind learns by repetition. If you already have a huge amount of self belief, you probably listen to it once and you find, I've got it all, I'll just get started. But for some of us, including myself, there was a lot of like, can I do this? I'm not sure about this. This is where reminding yourself that you can do it by self believing in you will really help you to convince you to take actions. And if you want a new habit to stick, research has shown that it takes an average of 10 to 21 days to master a new habit. So I do suggest, if you're interested, listen to this for that period of time, and you'll be amazed what happens to you.
Perfect. Thank you. Are there any other questions before I go on to upcoming events? Are there any other questions for Puyen before we wrap up and get excited about other things to come and about our future me projects that we're all, I'm sure, going to start hopefully someday, maybe tomorrow? Okay, well, if no other questions are coming in, Puyen, thank you again for your time today, for your great resources, for this downloadable PDF, and for this recording of the hypnotherapy session, essentially online. I want to tell everybody, too, that we have had another member of the Empowering Perspectives community. Her name is Vicky Stacy, and she is based out of Mexico City. She is a mindfulness instructor, a fitness instructor, a mom, an expat partner, just like all of us. And she has put together, as a complement to Puyen's wonderful presentation, a 5-day mindful meditation challenge, which will start next Monday. And I'll send out a link through the email tomorrow with that information. So if you're interested in doing the 5-day mindful meditation challenge, you can sign up for that, again, for free. And mark your calendars, everybody. June 2nd, we have a special event. My friend Karen Summers, who is a Los Angeles-based Hollywood filmmaker and producer, is going to do a special session on how we can use affordable, easy tools and techniques in our own homes to make ourselves look awesome on all these video conferences that we are on all the time. So please join us on June 2nd. Details coming out on that too, to learn about how to be a movie star every day on these online meetings. And then on June 16th, sorry, I had to have notes. We are going to have a regular meeting. This time, we're going to have a guy speaker. His name is Reza V. He is based out of Vancouver. And I learned about him through another colleague. He did 100 networking events in 100 days and learned, I know, wow, crazy, but also maybe fun. Learned a ton about how to maximize those events and has some great tips on how to network well online, because that is our new future. So how to make yourself look awesome on video, plus networking tips and tricks. This is going to be the powerhouse couple of events coming up in June. Thank you all for joining us today. We've got some great comments in the chat box. We are so glad that all of you could join. Thank you again, Puyen. And look for, book recommendations. Yes, Puyen has a lot of book recommendations. We'll be sure to add those into the email going out. Any other questions that we can answer today? Clark says, read Carol Dweck's Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, that also Puyen mentioned. And also Puyen, I know, has mentioned a couple times, Angela Duckworth's Grit. Puyen, any others that you'd like to mention right now before we go?
I think you would also like Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habits.
Oh, good one.
And there is just a lot more. I can put that in the email for you.
We'll put a list together and get it out to everybody. And maybe that will inspire us to start some of our me projects and get going. So look out for our email tomorrow that will include the download, which is on the chat box right now, plus the link to the recordable hypnotherapy session that you can repeat 21 days to make sure that you're getting your mindset in the right place to open up all those possibilities. And as a lawyer, I have to say that I can't guarantee any results, but I really hope that they're positive and productive. Hope to see you all in June for both of our events. And thank you again. Please reach out in the interim with any questions or concerns. We are so happy to have had you here today. Thanks to all. Have a great rest of the day. Bye, everyone.